Hello everybody and welcome back to Safari Mack Returns to Africa. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe that we're finally at the end of the year? And boy, we have had quite a crazy year. But, before we really dive into today's episode, this is where I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you so much for continuing to show support by either tuning into my episodes or sharing my content or increasing members. And it's always means so much to me to let my channel continue to grow, as well as for me to continue to do what I love to do best, educating the public about animals. And now, with that said, we're going to head back over to the island of Madagascar, where we're going to hang out at an end-of-the-year party with the lemurs, or known sometimes as Madagascar's spirits of the dead, as it was once thought by the European explorers when they first came to Madagascar that they were actually ghosts because of the eyes that were shining in the dark. Not like shining out, but their light, it looked like they were being followed by a bunch of spirits. But before we begin, if you're new to my channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my Facebook page for content conservation. And as always, if you have a question or there's an animal request, you just have to send me an email, which you will always find the link to down in the description below. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get to it. Their evolution and their family. Now, obviously, it's fairly easy to point out that lemurs are basically part of the primate family, which includes monkeys, apes, and of course humans. But now, as these are not any kind of primate, they're actually a kind of specialized primate that are called prosimians. That means basically before the monkeys and the apes. But despite being an ancient primate, these are not the ancestors of monkeys and apes. No. The thing is, lemurs evolved from a common ancestor that would also later on include monkeys and apes, but as time passed, they would evolve their very own evolutionary branches and evolve their own bloodlines. As you can also see, the island of Madagascar, here's how it originally started. Once part of the South America and African tectonic plate millions of years ago. Eventually, it broke off from Africa and then from India, and lemurs were said to actually have been able to raft themselves and evolve their own species over the millions of years that they've been on this planet. Now, there are many different kinds of varieties. There's actually said to be 100 different types, from the largest being the Indri lemur, which can weigh up to nearly 21 pounds, and even the Madame Berthet's mouse lemur, weighing only an ounce. Talk about a small primate, huh? And you know what? I'm sorry, I almost forgot this guy. Back in the evolutionary history of this creature, there was once even thought to be a lemur that was almost the size of a gorilla. Can you imagine what that would be like if they were alive today? Now let's get into their habitat, their lifestyle, and their reproduction. Now, you might think because of the DreamWorks animated feature franchise animated films, Madagascar, that all lemurs are found in the rainforest. But that's not true. Because Madagascar has many different kinds of habitats, so do lemurs have specific kinds of special needs. So it's not only just Madagascar, but they're also found here on the Comoros Islands, where they have their own special places and their own ways of survival. But now, a number of lemurs can be found from the dry spiny forests to the wetlands, to where many different species, such as this silky safaki, where they're found in rainforests. The ever charismatic ring-tailed lemur, I think this one's just being a little shy, is found in the arid scrublands in the south, and even there are specialized reed bed dwelling lemurs, such as this Alotran gentle lemur. Basically, the lifestyle of a lemur is fairly simple. They are highly social animals and depend on one another for cleaning, protection, and for finding food. But now, in terms of breeding, they are actually it's actually different. Some breed some can have a baby after only 4.5 months of pregnancy, while some can go even might be even longer. Usually they only have one baby a year, and they're all watched over by a female matriarch. So unfortunately for King Julian, it's not really a king leadership, it's a queen leadership. Julian would have to be a girl in order to be in charge of the group. But they all depend on one another. They fight with one another using stink or using signals with their tails. They even do other specialized activities like this ringtail is doing by sunbathing in a way, or getting himself kind of clean. So mating usually is with tail scents and stink fights, while the females will tend to mate with as many females so as to increase the diversity of the paternity within the troop. Now let's get into their lifestyle. Basically, being a primate, they're very omnivorous, but just like I said, some lemurs are completely different. Some are high on fruits, some specialize in leaves, flowers, insects like this giraffe weevil, bark, and even other, and of course leaves, as I said before, like this Safaki lemur, which served as, for me, that was my first lemur that I was introduced to, thanks to the Krat Brothers show before the Wild Krats. There was another show called Zaboomafoo. If you remember Zaboomafoo, be sure to type Zaboomafoo down in the comment section below. But like I said, everybody's different. Some eat leaves, some eat bark, and some are high on fruits, while others eat different insects or larvae. Now let's get into the wild things about lemurs. So, did you know that lemurs are what you would call seed dispersal units? So, meaning what they do in the treetops affects the rest of the habitat. So, this ringtail lemur is minding its business by eating these fruits or seeds from the trees, while as he eats them or shakes some from the trees, they eventually will fall, or when he goes to the bathroom, they're going to eventually turn into seedlings, which eventually regrows the forest. So they're important for their environment. And it's not just seed dispersals, they're also said to be pollinators, like this red-ruffed lemur. They're known to actually go all the way into a flower and come out with a mouth covered in fuzz or pollen. And here I just want to point this out. You can kind of see exactly what I mean by prosimian. How if you compare a lemur's face to a monkey's face or even an ape's face, it's really different. I mean, it's almost fox-like or and it's very prehistoric looking, right? You won't see this in any other monkeys. And they also have a special kind of tooth comb, which is perfect for cleaning themselves or grooming each other. Now, we humans tend to have blue eyes, but so does this lemur, such as this guy. This is the critically endangered blue-eyed black lemur, and is the only lemur that has the blue eye color. And if you want to help lemurs, there's a day to help celebrate them, World Lemur Day, which is viewed every October 25th. And finally, here's another pretty interesting wild thing. Lemurs tend to actually get high or self-medicate themselves using millipede toxins, which actually can help disturb or get rid of some stomach parasites that might be inside their stomach. So who would have thought that they get their own pharmacy in the wild? Finally, the problems and the challenges. Madagascar, as I said in last week's Fusa episode, Madagascar is facing severe threat of deforestation. They've lost nearly 95% and more of their original habitat. And it's not just the lemurs that are suffering, all the animals are suffering, not just from deforestation, but also poaching for the bushmeat or for pet trade, as well as other animals like these tortoises are. It's really chaos, a chaotic mess, and it really needs to be dealt with. However, these people are working hard to ensure that these primates and other animals on this unique habitat are able to have a bright future ahead. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on our short time here in Madagascar, but be sure to join me next year as we head back to the continent for the Serengeti Plains. But until then, this is Safari Mack. I'll see you all out there. Happy New Year.